Hello, I am Erica Macklin, and this is my Music 1590 midterm paper, The Blues Pre-1950. Music is integrated into every culture around the world and can be traced back to the very beginning of man. Music is heavily based in tradition and is used in ceremonies, storytelling, and to pass down traditions. There are many types of songs and oral recitations found throughout the world, but the United States is truly a melting pot in regard to music. From ragtime and Tin Pan Alley to jazz and swing, blues is the predecessor and has influenced each of these musical styles. Blues is the product of African people turned slaves and took form in many styles in the United States. Though the blues predates most styles found in the United States, Katherine Charlton credits the American National Copyright Act of 1970 for promoting the publishing and recording of music in this country. Ragtime was the earliest style of music to be distributed in the United States, thanks to composer Scott Joplin in the 1800s. He wrote and distributed sheet music in this style with his song Maple Leaf Rag, selling over 1 million copies. Ragtime was classified as African American and categorized by its fun use of syncopated piano and sometimes banjo. This northern style used timing that accentuated unexpected weak notes, while the backing band kept time with simple, bass-focused chords. Another widespread northern style of music was Tin Pan Alley. Developed in New York in the late 1800s, this catchy and memorable music style, like Joplin and ragtime, employed the use of sheet music, and its name was derived from the tinny tone of the upright piano used. Tin Pan Alley songs became widespread due to their use in vaudeville shows, which traveled to other cities or were viewed by visitors nationwide. Take Me Out to the Ball Game is one of the most recognizable songs of this genre. Another prevalent genre with roots in blues is jazz. Birthed in 1840 in New Orleans by African American and Creole bands, this style of music was similar to ragtime in that it used syncopation and had a rhythm section responsible for playing chords. Unlike ragtime and Tin Pan Alley, jazz music was not piano-centric. Jazz musicians incorporated formal training with gospel, blues, and improvisation. The sound is characterized by a front line of instruments, usually trumpet, clarinet, and trombone, that were featured in solos, while the back line consisted of any combination of supporting instruments like the banjo, guitar, tuba, strings, or drums. 1908 saw the quick spread of jazz from the South, which can be credited to traveling shows and due to its popularity in the dance scene. It gave birth to swing music. Swing is similar in style to jazz because of its style and melody, but also differs because the rhythm section focused on string bass, piano, and drums, and did not include tuba, banjo, or guitar, which created a smoother sound. Swing also used arrangements in which parts were pre-written for each instrument and steered away from improvisation. Smoother sound and less improv as they focused on playing arrangements. A notable sound of swing is walking bass. Instead of punching individual notes, the basses flowed and interspersed new accent notes within the line, adding to the smooth sound. Now that the popularized widespread offshoots of blues have been touched upon, let's delve into the originator. The blues is derived from Africa, the Middle East, and Spain. It is an amalgamation of sound, as slaves were brought to the United States from all over the vast continent of Africa. Every culture is different, but Freetown, Sierra Leone is thought to represent the same mixture of Africans as those that came to the New World. Thus, these musical practices carried on into this country. The songs sung by griots of Sierra Leone told the story of their history, culture, and traditions, and can be considered the predecessor to the call and response, work songs, and field hollers used by slaves. The difference between the songs sung by griots and those of the blues are their origins. The blues is not celebratory, but rooted in oppression and used as motivation during hard times. Slaves utilized these vocal techniques not only for endurance, but also to express dissatisfaction inconspicuously. Britannica describes the blues sound as an expressive vocal form that utilizes melisma and falsetto to convey melancholy. Though defined as vocal, Britannica also acknowledges instrumental attributes such as microtonal pitch, inflections, and imitation of vocal idioms by instruments like the guitar and harmonica. The blues sound is characterized by blue notes, string bending, uneven beat subdivisions, and using pentatonic scales. It was usually one singer accompanied by a guitar and characterized by bent or blue notes, not on a standard scale. The blue notes could best be played on instruments that allowed the creation of blue notes, such as the guitar, wind, and brass instruments. The singers expressed a longing, loss, or desire, and it became to be called the blues. A subgenre of this style called country blues originated in the southern states and was mostly sung. Guitars were used occasionally as an accompaniment. Musicians would break glass bottles and use the necks on their fingers to control the sound of the strings. Leadbelly used a knife to create this sound. However, this practice eventually died as bottlenecks or tubes of glass or steel were created. Delta blues is a rugged and expressive subgenre that started in Mississippi and was first recorded in the early 1920s. Robert Johnson is the originator of Delta blues and recorded 29 songs, including Crossroad Blues. Big Joe Williams and Muddy Waters not only continued, but enhanced bottleneck and Delta style by adding instruments and amplification. While men were at the forefront of blues, women like Lizzie Kid Douglas, also known as Memphis Minnie, was a popular country blues artist who accompanied herself and recorded on labels like Columbia and Decca. Other women blues artists, such as Ma Rainey and Bessie Smith, were accompanied by bands and sang in the classic blues style, using their strong, powerful voices to not only be heard over the band, but to also convey their stories. The blues is highlighted in many ways throughout American history and can be traced back as far as slavery. Ragtime, Tin Pan Alley, jazz, and swing, though offshoots of the blues, were the first commercialized and widespread due to distribution of sheet music, vaudeville shows, and popular dance crazes. African culture and traditions gave way to blues as we know it in America and influenced many other styles of music.